99 sockets, but a 10 ain't one of them. What are you gonna do today? We're gonna put out a short video. I've been showing the Buick a lot lately, and the rain came in and washed most of the bird poop off of it, so I feel like it's film worthy this time around. I do have a little bit of a water leak to deal with, but we're gonna do a cold start, we're gonna do a drive, and we're gonna do a review. So let's get cracking. That's the wrong keys. Alright. So he had a really nice modern stereo in here. Before he brought it to me, it got stolen. The interior's been all done, fully done. It's a new headliner. This is aftermarket. Sunroof. You can tell by the really modern switch, but it was just, somebody spent really good money on it, and it was done very, very well. The factory radio is disconnected. So let's see, we can get our cold start. Ooh, look at that. Start up right away. The high idle is going to take in effect here in a minute. It's going to bump up to like 1500 RPMs or something on its own. And what's really funny is I have to listen to it whenever I think it's ready. I just bump the gas and it drops the idle back down to normal again. The electric choke off the manifold works great. There it goes. Now we're starting to get some RPMs out of it. I'm going to get this camera set up. We can go for a little ride. Alright, so got to get my, about warmed up. Minimum stumble, because you know these old carbureted engines love to fall on their face till they warm up. We got lat belt, optional shoulder belt up here, hanging from the clips. And let's go take this thing for a spin, and hopefully my camera setup will stay up here. The car is actually really smooth. I mean, duh. Thing floats like a, what do you call it, like a magic carpet. Whenever you drive it, it just makes things disappear under the tires. It's amazing. So I took this car out this past weekend, and out to Metribra, and it did really good. Went out to a little shop next to a notary place that I know of, and it drove flawlessly. It just needed to warm up, because it's these old cast iron cars, man. They what do you call it? Heat is their best friend and their worst friend. But when it's cold like this, it's not cold, but it's just dreary out today. You got a lot of overcast, a lot of fog, a lot of moisture in the air. But on a day like this, getting the core of the iron is definitely plus. Sorry, dealing with traffic here. We're about to get out on some more comfortable open road. See, it's still cold. It bogged on me. We'll go ahead and get her legs opened up. She'll warm up. So, I've always liked the 70 land yacht cars. Always. I've always been a huge fan of them. And I think that's just because when I was a kid in the 80s, everyone's grandmas still had their big 70s cars. And so, like, when most of the people that I knew, when they got cars kicked down to them in the family, it was usually some giant LTD with like all kinds of torque, no top end horsepower, but would just absorb every bump in the road. Couldn't take a turn for shit. I mean, you go too fast, turn that wheel, you just keep going straight until your tires have giant flat spots in them. One thing I've noticed is people don't know how to drive around you when you're in these cars. They don't know how to react. It's like all of a sudden, all sense is just gone out the window. They're like, oh shit, what do I do? Well, you just drive like normal people, and you don't fucking stop in the middle of the road and block the street. So, like, get back to what I was saying. So this was like when I was a kid, everyone's grandma had a giant version of these. My grandma had a Chrysler Newport. God, like a 76 or 77 model. And I remember not knowing shit about that car. I remember a lot of hot summers riding around in the front seats with no air conditioning in that car. That's what I remember. And ultimately it was sold to a gentleman who probably took it to Mexico and made a badass lowrider out of it. Not even gonna lie. So it was gone. But I love the ride of these things. They don't need to perform. They don't need to be like super ultra fast or nothing. All they need to do is feel like that they move forward effortlessly, and that they, like I keep saying, absorb everything in the road. So this one's the one that, this is the Buick, of course. Y'all been seeing in the videos of me painting the engine and rebuilding the carburetor, doing the pine saw boil and all that stuff. And I've got to say, I'm really happy with the results. I'm happy with my work for sure. The only thing I don't like is whenever I was cleaning the cast iron manifolds, there was a bit of pitting on one spot where the pipe bolts to, you know, like the dome in the cast, where the flare on the actual exhaust pipe bolts onto the pipe on the manifold. It had a, what do you call it? It had a pit in it. So I've got like a tick exhaust leak on that side of the car until it warms up fully all the way, and it annoys the heck out of me. I'm thinking I might drop the pipe and tack weld a spot into that and then sand polish it back down into shape, because I don't like having an exhaust tick. It makes your work sound sloppy. Just absolutely love driving this car. And I know it's not a race car, but it actually does get up and move really easily. I have no problem keeping up or even scooting away a lot of these modern cars, that's for sure. I know I have a blast. The car's pretty good and warmed up now. I'm just gonna run it back over by the neighborhood down the street here again. Alright, so we just got back. I'm gonna go pop the hood. She's good and warm now, so let's go ahead and pop the hood so I can get you guys a good running shot of that. Don't mind the air filter housing. I haven't washed it or nothing because it's got the factory stickers on there, so I'm going to figure out how to gently clean it and try to preserve them. Oh, I guess let me give you a tour of the interior first before we get all too crazy up under the hood. Pop this though. Interesting shot. So what I really like here is this old mobile little plastic tray piece with this piece of paper in there, so that you can keep up with when the last time you did your lube and your oil. And I bet you had multiple cards of these somewhere, and you'd swap them out every time you had to rewrite everything in. And it has the mileage on there, May 3rd. No date though. I wish they had an actual date when this was done. Look, everything says okay, okay, okay. That's really fun. The factory stereo isn't hooked up anymore. They got all that power run down to here. Someone had built this fancy center console in order to put a more modern stereo in it, but this stuff got ripped out and stolen. The dash is a little faded up on top, so if you want to get an idea of the actual color, it's down here. It's hard to see with this amount of lighting I have. Let's see what we can do. Looks like we got basic stuff inside. That's neat. Buick emblem stuck there. The remote to the old thing, to the old stereo, all the insurance papers, all the past paperwork, maintenance schedule, the dash. This used to always crack me up. My first truck was an 82 S10. It had dents like this on the glove box, like I was supposed to set some drinks there or something. It never worked. Never ever. Imagine the factory ashtray is underneath this area here, but with this center console piece in there, you're not going to be able to get to see it. The door panels are original to the car. I believe the seat, you can tell by the obvious color, the seat and the carpet has been changed. The dash is factory original. The door panels are factory original, as well as the side trim is factory original. Come back in here, you can tell with like a little bit of rough pieces here and there. This still looks really good. Factory original. All the rear dash has been done because it's full of stereo equipment, and the headliner was done when the sunroof was done. If you can see, this is pretty. These cars didn't come with anything like this, so this actually probably brings the value of the car down, but as a daily driver, as far as I'm concerned, I really appreciate having something like that. Also, as a daily driver, what I like to hear is the fact that the air conditioning on this car works. Yes, the air conditioning on this car is 100% fully functioning. Let's go check that out. Alright. So as you can see, we need some belts. I can hear a little bit of squeaking, but check out that AC now. Let me go flip it on, because I know you're not going to be able to physically feel it flip on. So we're going to do that. Turn it to cold. There it is. Give it a minute. It'll be cold as ice on the inside of this car. So these aren't original. Those aren't original. That isn't original. I think that's like to a 50s Chevrolet or something. I'm not even sure if these lights in the back here in this quarter top belong on this car. You can also tell somebody had done some work to the exhaust. It's single pipe exhaust. Listen to that thing chug. It's been opened up a little bit. Car's in overall really great shape. Does have, this is the worst spot on the whole car. It's a little bit of cancer right there, as well as on the other side of the car. But this thing's great. If I had to go drive my family around and go to the movies on the weekend, hit the drive-through, take my old lady out for a little milkshake date, this is what I would take. If this is my choice between having to take this or the Toyota or this or the Suburban, I would definitely take this.
That's the 1972 Buick LeSabre.